Do you ever wish that you could spend more time on the activities that you love doing and that give you energy, that sense of satisfaction and fulfillment, and spend less time on those type of things that just seem to drain you of energy? AI can help you do that. And I think this is one of the more underappreciated and underutilized aspects of AI to help us perform at a higher level and understand how to leverage AI to do that. So, in order to even start this, though, you have to understand a little bit about your own personality. And I'm going to walk you through my own story about taking an assessment to understand my zones of genius. And I don't mean that in a kind of superficial way. I really mean that by taking an assessment, get some critical feedback in a structured way to look at some of your tendencies and use that to put together a plan for how to leverage AI to help you maximize those areas where you do really well, get a lot of energy and satisfaction out of your work, and understand those areas where you just do not thrive, yet you still need to do the work, and you can use AI to help you in all of them. I'm going to share with you a bit of how I do that in my own work and how I discovered this with AI. I think it is an absolute superpower for people who understand this. It's a great way to level up the productivity of your team if you're a manager, if you understand how everybody operates within their respective zones of genius. So what this takes is a little bit of understanding about your zones of genius, and there is an assessment where you can get this information at. Now, you don't need to take this assessment. I'm using this as an example to showcase my journey going through this, and you may already know where you fit in on this type of assessment. The way that this assessment works, there's 6 areas that you're broken down into. You have 2 of these areas are your superpower genius areas. 2 of these areas are areas where they just drain you of energy. And then there's some middle 2 areas where you have working competency. Now, for me, I have strengths in the invention area, and I have it in what's called discernment. It basically means I come up with a lot of ideas and I can make decisions and judgments using intuition. And I tend to do that a lot, and it gives me a lot of joy and satisfaction and energy. In fact, it's why I make these videos. However, the flip side is I have these zones of working frustration, and it's typically related to follow through, getting things done, and volunteering and things. Those are typically things that I'm not going to jump up and do. So I have to think through this and figure out how can I leverage AI to really get more done in my zones of working genius. And then in these areas where it's going to be a little bit more difficult for me, how can I use AI to get stuff done? And what I'll do today is I'm going to show you 2 examples, one in my own life, how I use AI to do this. And then I'll use a hypothetical example of somebody who is probably opposite of me in going through their own situation. Let's go ahead and go to my example. And this presentation that I'm doing right now is a perfect way to exemplify how I leverage this. Part of the attributes that I have is that I come up with a lot of ideas for presentations, and I will do this as a running narrative in my head. Anytime I'm doing something idle like washing dishes, laundry, I'm probably thinking of another way to do a video. However, when it comes down to actually getting these thoughts down into written form, that falls into my zones of frustration. Putting things down in a written form is a linear exercise, and it slows me down. It is something that I will typically put off and procrastinate on. This is where I leverage AI. So typically what I'll do when I have an idea for a presentation, I record a voice note. And you may have heard me talk about this in some other videos. I'll use tools like Otter.ai to transcribe my voice notes. And with Apple's new iOS update, you can actually take a voice note using the voice memo tool on your phone, and it will transcribe it for you automatically. So you have these tools in your pocket already. For me, that's how I leverage it. Once I have a transcription of my idea for a presentation, I can take that transcription and drop it into AI and generate an outline for that presentation. And just as an example of what this might look like, I have a prompt that I'm dropping in right here, and you'll see at this top part, it's just very short. I'm asking AI to help me create an outline based off of my voice notes. So immediately I can take an idea that I have and I can drop it in, and I've got an outline, and I don't care if it's the finished outline. I just need to get something down on paper in a writing form. And now I can go to the next step. The other area where I have that working frustration is this one right here is just enablement and tenacity. And where this shows up in my life is follow up and follow through. I may get asked to do a presentation for an event or a networking group or something like that. And typically how this will happen is I'll talk to somebody about AI and they'll say, send me an outline about what you'd like to talk about and how it's going to benefit our audience. Typically that type of task is one that I would put off, and it takes more time to get done because it is directly in this area of working frustration. It removes energy, and there's many other things I'd rather do. So this is another area where I would put together a prompt to help me get that done. And I've got just another example right here where I'm pitching this idea to do a presentation about AI to a networking group. And I need to put together a short summary and the benefits and why this would be a positive impact for the audience. And I have a prompt that does just that. And it's taking the outline that I just made and putting it together and create a summary for this audience. So anyway, I've just put this together really quick to drive home an example. And now I've got a quick summary, key takeaways. I've got all these things in very structured format that I can now go through and edit and make sure it's accurate and make sure it's relevant. But the part that takes me a lot of time is done. And this, in my mind, is a huge gift because it takes away the burden of things that really I derive very little energy from. They usually are the last thing I need to get done. And now I can use AI to short circuit that process and get this done quickly. And that allows me to be much more responsive, much more quick in how I get back to people. And it's leveraging the zones of genius that I have and spending less time in those areas of frustration. Now, let's pretend it's somebody else who is a complete opposite person of me. They actually derive great satisfaction from following through and pursuing and getting things done. And they do not enjoy coming up with new ideas, and they do not enjoy making decisions based off of intuition. You can utilize AI in the same way because AI excels at coming up with ideas, and it excels at running an analysis based off of the information that you give it. And I'm going to give you just a quick, short example of how you can take a prompt and put it in and ask AI to help you come up with a set of ideas. Let's pretend we have to come up with a list of ideas about how to train our staff to use AI in the workplace. And the job is to come up with a bunch of ideas and evaluate them to see which ones are best. Somebody who's tasked with this role, who does not enjoy ideation and making decisions, would struggle at this, and it would be a difficult challenge and frustrating for them. And you can use AI to go through this and come up with a list of ideas. In this example, I've specified 10, but you can change it. You can do 50 ideas. And that's the part about AI that is so special. You tap into this notion of intelligence on demand and abundance, and there's no limit to how many ideas you can get. But right away, you might say to yourself, well, that's too many ideas. I have no means to evaluate them or analyze them for impact. And so what you can do next is take the same exercise and ask AI to help you evaluate the ideas and evaluate them from different viewpoints and provide critical feedback. And I'll use the same example from above for training staff on getting started with AI. And I'm asking AI to help me evaluate the following ideas from multiple perspectives. These are all just starting points to help you get going. But typically when you're operating in your zones of working frustration, it's hard to get started. And leaning on AI to give you a help and give you a nudge to get out of that is one of the superpowers of AI. So now you can, yes, absolutely perform in those areas of frustration, but you don't have to spend a lot of time, and you can have AI play that role and emulate a working genius in that situation. And you don't have to tax your powers in order to perform in that capacity. This is where using AI as that companion that can be anybody comes into play. Now, in the end, what this really means for all of us is we all have these zones of genius. And when we know what they are, we can identify them and spend more time operating at that level. yet we still have to get work done. We still have to do and perform work that falls in those areas of working frustrations. And now we can summon AI to show up as our partner and help us get through those areas quickly without losing the energy that typically accompanies doing those tasks. By having AI be that helper for us, we can really perform at a high level, yet we don't have to spend a lot of time there, but we can still get the work done that needs to be done. I think this is one of the most critical pieces of using AI is to help us in a personal and professional capacity to be able to perform at a higher level than we were without AI. And to me, it's much bigger than just content generation. It is leveraging our capabilities and helping us get through those areas where we're not as strong and allowing us to be able to really perform at our highest level. That is the benefit and the hidden potential of using AI. I hope this is useful, and I hope this inspires you to take action to think about how AI can help you in your zones of genius in those areas where you would like a little bit more help. That's it for today. Thanks so much. Talk to you soon.